forgot to share my thing before I started. So I guess I'll do that. We'll wait and see if anybody wants to show up. Here's my share. And I'm going to have to... you can see my gray. All right, first things first. Copy. Paste. Share. All right, I'll do that there. How do I do my where to post? Repost. There we go. Oh, no, not in preparation for Easter. Oh, okay. For a second, I thought I clicked on the wrong thing. Oh my lord, today is going to be a day. I can already tell. It's going to be a real heck of a day if I can't get this to cooperate. Yeah. Can I create a post and then? All right, maybe Facebook doesn't want me to share that on here. Oh well. So anyway, hi guys. It's Monday. I don't often do a Monday stream. Oh dear God, I need a shower. This is my hair tie. Hide my horrible hair. All right, so I just recently, okay, that's fine. I just recently put Tubi on my PlayStation because I hadn't believed the ads when it said it was a free streaming service, but a friend of mine assured me it was, so I got that. And I've had access to a few movies, so I've been binging some movies lately. And I decided to revisit one I saw way back in early high school, maybe even middle school. You know, it's like mid-90s to late 90s, early 2000s type area. It was probably even like 95, honestly, or earlier that I saw this movie, because the movie came out in 83. And I had vague memories of it, but I always remembered the poster. I always remembered the cover of the VHS that I rented. And I remembered one very specific image from towards the end, and it always kind of haunted me. So I was like, wow, I don't remember being blown away by the movie, but I remember liking it, so I'm going to go revisit this movie. And it was 16 Candles, and I just finished watching it like maybe 5 minutes ago. And oh dear God, do I want to rant. Now maybe the fact that I have such negative feelings has something to do with the fact that I've been in pain for 4 days straight. And like just when I think it's going away, it comes back or it moves to another part of my body, because it's been like from my shoulder down to my back. The small of my back. Horrible. But probably not. So, as I said, I was going to start doing live reviews and figured, why not do this one? It will be my first negative review, and once I'm done ranting, I can talk about the other things I've watched recently. So, Sweet 16 is a 1983 slasher fic with, just somebody that I think once played Michael Myers in one of the Halloween movies, maybe. Probably the first Halloween movie, I think. And a girl as a quote-unquote side character who is in Friday the 13th Part 3. I did no looking anything up. I was trying to watch reviews of it today to see what other people thought before I watched it. And I never finished any of the reviews. I just wanted to form my own opinion. I just wanted to get a vague idea of what the general feeling was toward the film. My thoughts toward the film is, oh my God, in the days of cancel, well, I can't say in the days of cancel culture, it's just that this thing got me, this movie. It's, I don't know if I should say it should be forgotten or not, but I don't know, I just don't know, guys. All right, so it takes place in this small town, I'm going to guess southwest town, but it's hard to tell. Like, just could be anywhere, really. It's in summertime. And it's a very small town outside a Native American reservation, an Indian reservation. There is a young woman, 15-year-old Melissa, who has recently moved to town in the short term with her family because her father is like a archaeologist, I guess, and he's been doing some digging in the area. And everybody in town wants Melissa. She's the hot girl. She's kind of sort of the loose girl. She's the party girl. You know, she seems to be like that big town girl comes to small town to, you know, just wreak havoc. But that's not what she is. I mean, her character is slightly inconsistent, but humans are inconsistent, so I'm not going to knock it for that. The young lady goes off with a strange man, gets in the back of his pickup truck, and starts doing things with him, but she gets freaked out because of a noise. He takes her home, and he ends up running out of gas in his truck and getting murdered. And then just about any guy who goes anywhere near her starts getting murdered. And what I would say are actually the main characters of this town are the sheriff and his two kids. He has a teenage boy and girl, and his daughter seems to be very much into mystery books. She's reading one at the beginning of the story, and she's kind of sleuthing the whole thing out. And the kids are working with their dad, talking about the case and figuring things out. And this was one of the first things that got my attention in the movie. I'm like, seriously, the sheriff's kid was with the boy who ended up getting murdered right after he left the sheriff's son behind to walk his own ass home. I mean, I'm sure he would have gone back and picked him up and brought him home, but he ended up having to walk home because his friend took off with a girl and left him there stranded and got murdered on the way back, presumably. Unless he's the kind of friend who wouldn't do that. And everybody has weird reactions. Like the family, the sheriff and his kids find out the kid never made it home, so they go looking for him in his truck. They find the truck pulled over on the side of the road out of gas, and they're like, well, maybe he just started to walk home and passed out on the side of the road somewhere because they know he was drinking. So these are 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. And they find the body, but then after like the scene is starting to be processed, the sheriff father takes the kids to school and just drops them off and starts talking with Melissa, since they do know, because the sheriff's son saw her, that this young victim, she was the last one to see him alive. And they talk to the parents, and you find out that mom was from that area. She says, hey, I was born and bred here. I was raised here. But you don't get much other information on her at the time. I can't talk too much about the plot, really. The plot's a mess, but people are making jokes. Like, the kids are in the sheriff's car with their dad on the way to school, and like the young man whose friend, he might have been a kind of a shitty friend, but his friend just was murdered and they found the body themselves. His sister is the first one to see the body. She found it officially. Don't you think he would be cracking a smile and them kind of making jokes? And you know, they're just constantly doing shit like that. So there's a lot of reactions that don't make sense, which put me off, but that's not what really offended me. This town is super racist. And what had happened right before Melissa gets in the truck with the boy who ended up being murdered was there was a Native American man who was at the bar where the guys were hanging out. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, and yes, I did just watch it, but I had to pause it a couple of times. Sorry. Oh, sorry. My mom was talking out there. I wanted to make sure she wasn't talking to me. I hate when people talk back there. I usually don't do this when people are up or home. Anyway, she tries to approach this Native American guy and kind of was coming on to him, or at least just talking to him. To me, it felt like she was coming on to him, and he's like, "Go home, little girl, just go home." But the boy who ends up getting murdered and the sheriff's son who are hanging out together, I don't know if they're just pretending they weren't close enough to hear what he said, or if they're just assuming things from this exchange. Because the kid that ends up getting murdered says, "I bet the town would really like to know that you're into little girls." And this guy, not entirely taking their shit, starts stalking up to them slow motion, like the thing and it follows, and they book it back inside, like, "Whoa, fuck off, we're out of here." But things like that keep happening. The next time Melissa's going to be alone with a boy, she's told to meet him behind this place, and he's going to try and get them some weed to smoke. And he ends up getting murdered before she arrives. And when she arrives, the same Native American dude is there standing over the body. Now, this is an obvious red herring, but the town goes kind of apeshit. Now, the only redeeming quality about any of this is that the sheriff and his kids are like, we don't think he did it. We understand he was there. We understand he could be a suspect, he's a person of interest, definitely, but just because he's an Indian from the reservation, we don't think he's the type to do this. But some other people, like the town politician, hey, who's here? Hey, Josh. Oh, thanks, Josh. I appreciate the support. You don't have to stick around if you're at work, man. But thanks a lot. I'm just having a rant because this movie got to me. Can you tell me if you can hear me though? Because I don't even know if I'm talking loud enough because I'm so in my own thoughts right now. But yeah, some people. There was a town meeting while the second murder was happening, and people were already on stage saying the Native American guys did it. Of course, they're using some very not nice terms to say it. But let's see. Audio is fine. A little compressed. Okay, I don't really know what compressed necessarily means, but it could be the mic on my webcam. As long as you can understand me while I'm talking kind of low so I don't bother people out there, we're good. Thank you, and thank you for showing up. If you gotta take off without saying goodbye, that's fine. I appreciate the thought. See, I keep I'm losing track of my thoughts. It's almost like you shouldn't have talked, but that's okay. I've been in so much pain for 4 days. It's amazing I can string words together. I'm gonna take a muscle relaxer as soon as I get out here. Anyway, yeah, there's a town meeting. They're already trying to pin it on Native American dudes. And when they find out about this new murder, Melissa talks about seeing the older Native American dude there. And so town politician and his brother, or somebody he calls brother, I don't know if there's an actual relation or not. There are probably some details I missed because I kept pausing it, going back and forth while cooking. Little details I might have missed. They talk about we gotta do this old school and go put those natives back in their place. I believe they're mean and say terms like savages or something, but I don't remember. Maybe they even say reds. God, this is the thing that pisses me off about the movie. So bad acting choices, not necessarily bad acting the whole way around. The acting is reasonably okay, but not great. A lot of gratuitous nudity, by the way. The actress playing Melissa was not 15 going on 16, and so they took advantage of that. Lots of boobage. Again, getting sidetracked here. So people are dying. She says something about the Native American guy being there, and he was there right before she got in the truck with the sheriff's kid's friend who ended up getting murdered. So, suspect. And the next thing the sheriff does is, I believe the sheriff goes to talk to this man because he's at least a person of interest, and they find him hanging in his home or in a barn or something like that. I believe it's in his home. I didn't pay close enough attention to the set to realize exactly where it was. I just know it was on the man's property. You said something again. Cool. Gratuitous nudity. How'd you miss a thing like that? Probably because I never told you about it when I originally saw it, and I gave you a lot of gratuitous nudity to look at in middle school. I didn't need to hand you more. I did not need to go, here, look at all these movies with gratuitous nudity. Let's just give you the one with the graphic rape scenes in nudity. Right? I gave him a copy of Flesh and Blood when we were in middle school. I was not sheltered as a kid. Anyway, so this poor Native American dude, and he was an older dude, got hung. And we don't see any townspeople do it. But people aren't sure if it's a suicide or not, but the kids are pretty convinced. Like, these stupid ass people took things into their own hands. And then the next time, then the young lady who was in Friday the 13th, Part 3, was kind of like the sheriff's daughter at one of the funerals. I believe it was for the second victim. Yes, it was for the second victim. Is going off on Melissa, saying, hey, you just wanted a little bit of attention, so you said that he was there and did it, and you got him killed. Then immediately flips around, apologizes, tries to make friends with her, and all of a sudden they're like best friends and understand each other and stuff. I don't know. Some of the things that happen in the stories just isn't not completely logical. Could have spread it out a bit, but oh well. There's a lot I'm willing to forgive in terms of character motivations, character build-up. But the next thing that ends up happening is Melissa's father, who I said is an archaeologist. He comes. They knew that there's a younger Native American as well who was working for Melissa's father, and they suspected he could have something to do with some of this. And he comes into the sheriff's office and he says, "I want you to know I fired him today." I believe the character's name is Jason. I fired Jason today, and I want him arrested because there are things from my dig site missing, and I want you to know it's not just like they're not just knives to me. And he's like, wait, knives are missing? What? Excuse me? And okay, there are knives missing. You dug up knives, got it, but I started to lose my shit when this white dude. And I'm not one of the people that necessarily stand for the anti-racism thing. I don't get offended by the racist stuff being on TV or in books and stuff all that often. But this dude is like talking about how these knives were in such perfect condition, buried with the bodies of their chiefs. So it's like, you fucking went onto the reservation and you're digging on the Native Americans' limited property, digging up their fucking chiefs and stealing their shit from their bodies. These are not ancient Egyptians, guys. These are not people who have practically forgotten their ancestry. Because maybe they have it in Egypt too. So maybe it is really, really bad and offensive. But at least they know they're doing some of their own digging. Native Americans want you to leave their shit alone. Go away. And I'm sitting here like, okay, so you want to arrest him for possibly taking back his own people's property. That's immediately what switched in my head. And I was sending my buddy Dave Steakins some messages as I was watching. I'm like, I swear to God, if this movie does not end with that guy telling these assholes fucking off, I lost it. So they do end up arresting him for taking the knives, but mostly it's because they know there was blood on one of the knives. Or at least, no, they arrest him first for taking the knives, and he is a person of interest, so they're holding him. And the sheriff goes to the city or town or whatever where his apparently girlfriend lives. She keeps trying to get him to say he'll marry her and stuff, and he's blowing her off, ignoring her, laughing over her, whatever. There's a whole other feminist, anti-feminist subplot involving that, the romance, but I'm not mad at that. It is what it is. It's just, oh my God. Early 80s, here we go. That is what it is. And they find out there was blood on one of the 3 knives that were in this man's possession. Because, yes, the knives were in his home. That's why they arrested him. They find out there's blood on them. They eventually find out that it's animal blood. It was squirrel blood. So, okay, well, he didn't commit the murders with these weapons. The only thing this guy really fucked up and did wrong was when the deputy who was keeping an eye on him in the jail cell went to give him his dinner. He ended up fighting with him and knocking him unconscious and locking him in his own cell and escaping. And this is the night of Melissa's sweet 16th birthday party. Luckily, well, not luckily, this guy ends up showing up while a lot of other shenanigans are going on. Melissa goes off with the sheriff's son. They end up kind of swimming, getting undressed and swimming in a lake together. The politician dude and his brother end up drunkenly stumbling in on this and kind of spying on her. But then Jason, the Native American dude who's escaped from the little prison, shows up and he's like, "You killed him, didn't you?" And he pulls a knife. I'm like, "You fucking idiot. You're an innocent too. Don't do this shit." And they get into a brawl, and the white dudes, because they're white. I mean, well, actually, I'll be honest, I have no idea what the politician could be. He's so swarthy. He could be any mixed race or Spanish or anything. But the point is, he's not Native American, and he's racist to the Native American. That's the point. I'm not assuming his race, is what I'm saying. And they knock him unconscious. I thought they killed him. I thought that they had killed him, but by this point, Melissa's gotten out of the lake. She's put her pretty white dress back on, and she's wandering, presumably back towards her party, just leaving her friend, her quasi-boyfriend, back in the lake by himself in his boxers. And she sees this fight, and so then the dudes who are already making very inappropriate things, like that little girl makes me horny. She's 16. Dear God, you grew up in this town with her mother, assholes. There's a lot of leches in this movie, lots of them. But they start kind of wrestling with her, and one of them knocks Melissa out, which pisses off the politician dude. I'm like, why are you pissed? I mean, yes, if she's still alive, she's going to tell that you guys just did this to this poor guy, because she doesn't have context to say he came at them with a knife. She didn't see that part. So, what is going on here? Were you going to rape her? Were you going to kill her? Were you going to just talk to her and it got out of hand? You don't know. You never have the chance to find out, because both those dudes are dead, I think, by the end. I think. And I'm not going to talk about who the killer is or what the motivation is. None of it makes sense. The film is riddled with red herrings, and it's a hot mess. But I will say there's an image of Melissa who's still unconscious, and somebody's sitting by her. Well, I'm just going to say the killer's sitting by her. I wasn't going to go into spoilers, but the killer's sitting by her. The sheriff's daughter comes up, like, "Hey, are you okay?" And the person who's holding Melissa, just all of a sudden the hand comes up and there's a knife in the hand. And that was the image I remember from the first time I saw it. It was like this kind of slow-mo, like creepy, like, to get the girl away from her. Now, she ends up fine. The brother that was making out with Melissa in the lake, he got stabbed by the killer, but he was fine, actually. He ended up being fine. I don't think he was stabbed too deep. He was just hurt. But that movie's a hot mess, guys. But I just get so riled up about all this racist shit. I had to come here and rant about it. If I was going to rate this movie, it would probably be a 3.5 out of 10. The story itself, as nonsensical as the twist ending is, I can't say it's a twist, but it's like they shove all these motivations behind it, and then after everything happens, you know what? Fuck it. Spoilers. Full on spoilers. It's Melissa's fucking mother. She's the one that's killed everybody because she's gone loopy. Apparently, her father was really abusive to her and her sister when she was a kid. Did you say something? I don't think you said anything else. No, okay, you didn't. My eyes just weirded out on me. She's killed all these boys that have had contact with her daughter because her sister died in a mental asylum after I believe she had killed their father to protect her sister. And her sister ended up in a mental asylum, died there, and the sister that's left over takes on her sister's identity and personality. So she lived as her sister. And she was in her head trying to protect her sister. And that's why she was killing all these people. But part of her was also talking about Melissa, talking about her sister. You know, she was very confused. And then at the very end, you know, the sheriff is being, you know, so sweet and nice and just nobody's gonna hurt you anymore. Nobody's gonna hurt you. I swear. Just give me the knife. Give me the knife. Just trying to diffuse the situation. Good cop, by the way. Good cop who followed the clues and did what he had to do to arrest Jason, the Native American dude, and you know, all right, I can see why this evidence is building up towards charging him. But he never assumed anything. He never just went, oh God, they're white. He just went, I have to follow the clues and act accordingly. But that was it. And then when he found a lot of these background clues about the mom, he rushed back to hell, came back in the nick of time, got to be a Deus Ex Machina a little bit. But, you know, he didn't come in guns blazing or this or that. He wanted to help the poor mom. And poor Melissa and his kids who were at his birthday party with her. You know, he'd been trying to call the station, so he knew that something was wrong there because his deputy was locked up in a cell. What could he do? Couldn't reach him. Guys, ow. And all you see is Melissa, the back of her head. You know, she watched her mother stab herself to death because she didn't want to give up the knife. And why did she stab herself? I don't know. But she was starting to hand over the knife and then and her daughter saw that. And you see Melissa with a blanket wrapped around herself. Obviously a shock blanket, even though it's not a shock blanket. And Marcy, I remember her name. Marcy, the sheriff's daughter, is like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine, Marcy. I'm fine. And it follows her from behind into her house, and then it shows her from the front, and the blanket drops, and she's holding the butcher knife like this. And her eyes are just buggy and crazy, and you hear screaming like in the background, like it's all in her head. And I'm like, yeah, she lost her fucking shit like her mom too, blah, 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 fake trauma in these slasher movies that they just try to force. That's not how trauma works, but okay, we'll go with it. But I was glad that Jason survived because when I first saw, I believe his name was Greyfeather hanging, and I realized they didn't just talk about lynching this dude. They went and they did it. I know it's fiction, and I know it was from 1983, but even in 1983, this was bullshit. I know there's still towns like that today, okay, who will pull shit like that. It's not right. It's just not right. And I just felt so many, like the things about that just pissed me off. Like I can deal with all the bad plot threads and horrible characterizations and wooden acting. I don't give a shit about that. I can love a bad movie. I can't love that. And I can't believe I don't remember it from when I was younger. I don't know how I don't remember it, but I do. So there's that. And that is my rant on Sweet 16. I knew it wasn't going to take long because even as I was booting up my computer, I was like, I don't know what you're going to say about it other than the fact that the racist stuff pissed you off. But it did. It did. And I don't really, like I said, I don't know where it came from because I'm one of those people who can go, it's fiction, just run with it. I can deal with people saying the N word. I can deal with stories that have the KKK in them. I can deal with stories about Custer. I can deal with stories about the Trail of Tears or Schindler's List and the Holocaust. This simple little thing that these two American characters in a small town that you know just want to keep the Indians on the res and in their place. Oh my god, it pissed me off. Maybe because it's so modern. It's so intrinsically modern, in spite of the fact that it came out the year I was born. I don't know. It pissed me off. Oh, okay, I feel better now. I feel so much better, guys. Don't know whether I should talk about the other things I've watched. I watched a pro shop version of Gypsy, the Broadway musical with Imelda Staunton as Rose. That was pretty good. I'd never watched Gypsy before, I don't think. I've seen bits and pieces of the movie version, but never really seen the show. I got to see Let Us Pray again, Ian Cunningham and Pollyanna McIntosh. God, I fucking love that movie. I would recommend that movie to anybody. I rewatched the 1980s Warlock. When did it came out? The early 90s. I think it came out in the late 80s with Julian Sands and Richard E. Grant. I love Richard E. Grant. Really good movie. I saw Darlin with Pollyanna McIntosh, which is a sequel to The Woman, which I still haven't had a chance to see yet, and it hasn't been available on any of the platforms I have access to. And I know The Woman is a sequel to another movie, but oops, hang on. Maybe I'm standing here. Are you gonna be super quiet? Okay. Sorry. Anyway, I think it's called Offspring. I think the prequel to The Woman is Offspring. I have not seen Offspring or The Woman, but I heard great things about Darwin, so I watched it. It was pretty good. Not usually my type of movie, but it was pretty good. And I think there was another movie I watched that was brand new to me. Could be years old by now. I don't know. Let me check out my letterbox because I know I took note of it. My phone's been going so slow lately. It's only like 2 or 3 months old and so slow. Hope everybody else is doing well because my body's falling apart. Diary? Is diary? I think so. Let us print. Oh yeah, I watched Subspecies 3. I tried to watch Subspecies 4, and I was like, hey, this is the one that's the crossover with Vampire Journals. I love Vampire Journals. Subspecies 4 is so bad that I couldn't finish it. It's like I got to the character I wanted to see, and I ran away. So is that the only one? What is L? I don't know what L is. Oh yeah, and I rewatched a movie called When the Bough Breaks. It has Ron Perlman in it. Early-ish 90s film that was clearly ripping off Silence of the Lambs, including the fact that it has a female FBI agent with the same haircut, hair color, and husky voice as, Jodie Foster. Very, very Silence of the Lambsy. I could do another whole rant about that one, but I'm not going to go into that one today. I'm here to talk about 16 Candles, which I did. I'm not saying the movie itself is absolutely horrible. I am saying these aspects piss me off so much that I want to talk about it. And you know what? I've never done a negative review on this channel. So, as my friend Dave Steeken said when I was venting to him while watching it, he's like, hey, the internet feeds off negativity. I'm like, damn straight it does. So, all right, guys. This was my first actual live review since Magic. I know I said I've been saying for months I was going to be doing this, and here it is. I said everything there is to say about this movie. Just so y'all know, the kills are not graphic or inventive. They look pretty bad. The nudity is very uncomfortable when you know that the character is supposed to be 15 until the final scene where you see her when she's on her 16th birthday. So that's intensely uncomfortable. But hey, it is what it is. Want to sign me off, kiddo? Huh? He's got his headphones on. You want to sign me off on this thing?
Why?
Because I'm about to stop. You like to be a part of my streams. What do you have to say to everybody?
So,
Is that it? Just hello?
so you guys keep an eye on live streams when I come in.
Yeah, you have to watch out for this little lunatic over here. You know how he
But
likes to
remember-
pop in.
Hit the like and subscribe.
Oh, he's doing the spiel for me. Can you tell he watches a lot of YouTube? He's saying things I don't usually tell people to do. You hit that like button and the subscribe button, and I will see you all next time. That's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it goes? All right. Did I nail it? Okay. Apparently I nailed it. Good night, everybody. Stop showing everybody the top of your head, sir. Bye, guys.